Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday, February 7th. Hope you're doing awesome out there today. Going to get started with the four-market close video. If anybody does have any ticker requests, please let me know as well. But markets have been choppy today. We had a pretty big fall off and then a recovery. But we did have some economic data out today. Fed Chair Powell spoke today. Basically said that inflation is coming down and just continues to reiterate that narrative. And basically says that interest rates will continue to rise likely. But as we know, we can't trust what they say. We watch what they do, not what they say. And I really don't care what they say. You know, this morning we'll see what the interest rate decision is going to be in March, and we'll continue to monitor what the charts say leading into that for clues. But as of right now, we know that we're due for weekly consolidation, so we're likely due for some volatility and some sizable pullbacks to the downside, which will just be healthy in my opinion. So taking a look at the crypto space, at the moment, like I said, some decent amount of chop going on at the moment, but in terms of the daily time frame, it was a daily inside bar that's now breaking bullish. So we were consolidating for 3 days out of the last 5 days, meaning we were losing the low of the previous candle 3 times in a 5-day period. But now we are flipping that the other direction where we're starting the daily bounce having broken yesterday's high. So key resistance was 23,163. Once we broke that, we started the daily bounce. Now we look for a lower high compared to 24,264. But if we zoom out to the weekly time frame, it's a weekly inside bar as well. So we still haven't started weekly consolidation. Key support is 22,500, like I mentioned from yesterday. If we lose that, then it's all about holding those EMAs and a potential for a weekly bull flag. If we hold 21,193, then the potential for a weekly bull flag is still there. And then if we lose that, that negates the odds of a weekly bull flag. But if we hold that level and then come back up towards resistance, key resistance after that is going to be 24,262. If we break that after having held 21,193 on weekly consolidation, that will confirm the weekly bull flag, and we'll be targeting about 33,000 on Bitcoin. Taking a look at the monthly time frame. So monthly bounce continuing, haven't broken last month's high, but not seeing much follow through, but allowing quite a bit of room for a monthly higher low to form, more than likely going to be next month though. So we could just see a tightening range this month and potential for a little bit of upside, but again, just a little concerned about the weekly chart, right? I think we're due for a cool-off session, at least a back test of those EMAs. And like I said, I wouldn't want to see $20,000 lose that support, or else we could be due for even more pullback, right? Because that's a very strong psychological support, and also lines up there with EMA 12 there on the weekly time frame. But realistically, we could drop from here almost 30% on Bitcoin and just be looking for a weekly higher low in a weekly uptrend. So very large lack of support. But if we look at the daily time frame, we do have some support levels there to be going off of. So 20,370, like I said, 20,000 psychological. But after that, there's really nothing until about 16,000. So 20,000 is going to be a new key support going forward on Bitcoin, or else things could get pretty ugly. But like I said, could drop almost 30%, still maintaining the weekly uptrend, unless on weekly consolidation, we form a lower high and a lower low, and we confirm a weekly downtrend, and then we override the weekly uptrend. That would be another way for us to lose the weekly uptrend. But just on any straight consolidation, we would need to lose that low there, about 30% below. So more than likely going to hold that, and we'll be confident that a weekly higher low is set on any weekly consolidation once we get back into a daily uptrend. Taking a look at movers and shakers on the day today. In terms of bulls, we have HBAR, Casper, and Hex, followed by Algo. And on the bear list, we have LBC, BIGG, and HP. So pretty much everybody just following Bitcoin for the moment. Taking a look at the S&P 500 and the broader market. So daily bounce underway here as well. So very similar to Bitcoin, breaking the high of yesterday. S&P 500 breaking the high of yesterday as well. So key resistance there was 411.29, and we did have an inside bar. So this is again what I'm talking about in terms of chop. It was a daily inside bar. We had support at 408.10 and then resistance at 411.29. We broke support and then we went into a bull move. So that's some pretty choppy action there. Ended up being a bit of a bear trap, but held daily EMA 12, which you have been now for the last 18 days, 12 trading days. We've been holding EMA 12, yet to close below it. So if we do close below EMA 12 here on a daily candle, then we'll more than likely backtest that EMA 26 there around 400. Wouldn't be surprised if we backtested 400 either way as a nice strong psychological support. 400 is the equivalent to 20,000 on Bitcoin in my opinion, based on the weekly chart, because we haven't consolidated in the same time period, about seven weeks, right? Going on 8 weeks on the S&P 500, same with Bitcoin. without any weekly consolidation. So when we do start weekly consolidation, like I said, wouldn't be surprised if we backtested 400, 395 and backtest those EMAs on the weekly time frame. That'll just be healthy in my opinion. But as long as 374.77 holds on the S&P 500, then the weekly uptrend remains intact. But again, just like Bitcoin, unless we come down, we form a lower high and a lower low, and we confirm a weekly downtrend, that's another possibility as well, based on the size of that and the lack of support on the weekly time frame. But very, very strong daily uptrend on the S&P 500, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, looking for that next higher high. So textbook daily uptrend with tons of support levels to go off of. And generally, when we have that support established, any pullbacks are going to be met with a lot of buying pressure, right? And it's going to be really hard for bears to knock the price down when we have that much support established. Zooming out again on the weekly time frame, again, we did have that EMA 12 and 26 bull cross get out of the way, but we have no resistance all the way up to 428 on the weekly and the monthly time frame. We got as high as 418. So I will expect a top to be set, a temporary top to be set, if not this week, then potentially next week, and then start weekly consolidation. In terms of the dollar, so like I said, the dollar giving us some clues here. The dollar starting its weekly bounce for the second week in a row, but anything under 105.63 is just a weekly lower high and a weekly downtrend. But I'm still expecting weekly oversold to mark a temporary bottom on the dollar and then a relief rally. And we didn't quite get there yet. If we do lose 100 psychological on the dollar, we have the next supports down at 97. So I think 98, 97 would put us around that weekly oversold level. And then we could expect a pretty sizable move on the dollar. And then that would provide weekly consolidation more than likely on the S&P 500. And Bitcoin, we should see some weakness there. And then that would likely give us the monthly bounce for DXY. But DXY at risk of a monthly downtrend here. And that would be very good for crypto and stocks if we formed a lower high and a lower low. So we'll be watching that very, very closely as well. In terms of individual tickers on the day today, Tesla. So it was a daily inside bar that broke bearish. And here we are trying to do what SPY is doing and what Bitcoin is doing, starting the daily bounce again. But again, Tesla has been a little bit of a lagging indicator. Usually we see the S&P 500 move, then Bitcoin, then Tesla, right? That's the sort of the chain of events that we've been noticing amongst those three, right? Those are sort of the big three that we're watching for market direction. We know crypto and big tech has been leading the bull market really since the lows of March 2020. But daily inside bar and resistance to be breaking is 198.17. Actually 199. Sorry, it was from 2 days ago, which was on Friday. So 199. That's about 100% move off the lows there at 101.81. So congrats, like I said, those who took the Tesla trade. That was an absolute no-brainer. We had a monthly head and shoulders target of 85, and we also had the 0.786 retracement there at 98.99. So 100 psychological, the 0.786, and the monthly head and shoulders target, and the EMA 12 and 26 bear cross on the monthly time frame, all saying that we were heading to around that 100 psychological. And then, like I said, we had no resistance on the monthly all the way up to 314. So massive swing opportunity, like I said, with Tesla. So congrats to those who took that trade. In terms of bulls and bears on the day today and individual tickers, we have Zoom and BLU and Docu leading the bull list today. A lot more red than green though. Bed Bath & Beyond, D Pro, and GME leading the decline today. Yeah, and there's news that Bed Bath & Beyond seeking to raise $1 billion to avoid bankruptcy. Again, I'm just avoiding that stock like the plague. I have no interest in trying to gain. Obviously, yesterday, I think it was up almost 100%. But again, there's some decent swing trades to be made with some of these names. But, meme coins, these high-risk names that could potentially go bankrupt any minute, I'm just not interested in it whatsoever. But yeah, look at that move from yesterday off the low there, up 130%. But gave it all back, now down 56%. So that's what I'm talking about. There's some decent sized moves to be had, but you can get caught with like a deer in the headlights, essentially, with these names. Tilray MJ founders board pay $40 million to end the lawsuit. This came out late yesterday. So case challenge, Tilray Inc. merger with private equity backer and counsel for investors are seeking $6.4 million in legal fees. So essentially, Tilray Inc.'s co-founders and members of its board will pay $39.9 million to end litigation challenging the Canadian MJ company's private equity restructuring. Investors leading the case sought approval for that settlement from Chancellor Kathleen St. Jude McCormick, Chief Judge of Delaware's Chancery Court. The deal resulted from cooperation with a special litigation committee established by the company's board in the court filing made public February 3rd. Also, MJ MSO MedMen warns about cash situation and the ability to stay afloat. So this is why I've been saying, if you're going to look at names like MedMen, I wouldn't. It kind of goes back to Bed Bath & Beyond, right? We know that there's going to be a lot of players in the MJ space that either go bankrupt, they just completely drop off the radar, or they're going to get acquired. We know that Tilray is a big debt holder of MedMen as well, just like they are with Hexo. So there's a lot that could happen here, but this is why I'm not putting any more than a couple $1,000s into MedMen. There's obviously a lot of risk, but a ton of reward as well. But not to say that there isn't the risk of total loss, right? So that's why when it comes to MedMen, I think I'm around $1,500, just under $2,000. I probably won't put in any more into this one. But I mean, if MedMen goes back to all-time highs, or even close to that, like from current levels, I was buying it around. I think I got as low as about 2 cents. So my entry at 2 cents there. If it just goes back to the highs of February 2021, that's 86x. That's $1,000 investment into $86,000. If it goes back to all-time highs, that's 495x. That's $1,000 into $500,000, right? So the most I can lose is $1,000 or a couple $1,000, whatever I put into it, and then the upside is limited, right? So that's why I've been very, very cautious on MedMen. Same with Oxley. I don't think Oxley's going to go under. I think Oxley could be another bio target as well. Same with MedMen, but we just don't know, right? So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So in terms of Tilray, after that news today and the lawsuit, so we had this equilibrium on the daily time frame. We had the high, low, lower high, higher low, bull break, back into the equilibrium, and then another bull break, but back into the equilibrium. So it's been very choppy here at the moment. So next support is going to be 299. After that, we're looking at 290, and then 264, and then the 52-week low there at 252. After that, I think it's 243, which is the all-time low. Yep, 243. And over the last month or so, it's up about 42% there off the lows. CGC off its lows, I think it was around the same, 54%. Hexo off its lows at 90 cents, about 100%, so 94 and change. Sundial closed the acquisition of Superette today, expanding its retail footprint around 27% around that same time. But in terms of movers and shakers on the day, in terms of Canadian MJ, we have PWR, Hexo, and CGC leading the decline. And on the bull list, we have Labs, XTRX, and Huge. So MSOS is a monthly inside bar. So key resistance is going to be 736 and key support 609, the all-time low. Lose 609, then we continue monthly consolidation, break support at 736, then we start the monthly bounce, and we have a lack of resistance all the way up to 1460. This could be another monster swing opportunity. If we break resistance there on the monthly inside bar at 736, you could go long. You could even set a stop buy at, say, 745, or just buy it manually if we break 736, and then you could look to play, like I said, a run up to that next monthly resistance, which would be about 100% of a move. So decent swing opportunity there if we do break out of that monthly inside bar bullish. In terms of the daily time frame, we're starting daily consolidation, so a little bit weaker than the broader market. Like I said, SPY on the daily time frame breaking the high of yesterday, and MSOS losing the low of yesterday. So continues to be weak, but we have tons of room for a daily higher low to form. Just looking for a higher low compared to that all-time low there at 609. So from the low of the day today, we could still drop another over 9% and still just be looking for a daily higher low. And then once we form a daily higher low, that'll be indicated by an hourly uptrend confirming. Once we confirm an hourly uptrend from here, now having started daily consolidation, we'll be confident the daily higher low is set. And then we'll look up towards resistance there at 710, which is double top. So that's key resistance. If we form a higher low and then break 710, we'll be in a daily uptrend. And then we could even see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross on the daily time frame, and then head back up towards those weekly resistances. But even on the weekly, we have no resistance till 1460. So like I said, if we can get over 710, then the next level is 736, and then lack of resistance all the way up to 1460. So 736, like I said, is going to be a massive swing opportunity to go long. Like I said, up to about 100% of gains just on that monthly inside bar bull break. So decent swing trade opportunity for those who see fit. Ian, FIT, and KHRN leading the decline today. On the bull list, we have LOWL, TAAT, TAT, and BMMJ. TAT, another interesting opportunity here. Maker of hemp cigarettes, mimicking tobacco. So on the weekly time frame with the low, high, higher low, looking for the higher high. If we break 68 cents from here resistance, then we are in a weekly uptrend. Then we'll zoom out to the monthly and watch for the monthly bounce to get underway, more than likely for the second month in a row. We started it last month, and the low there at 52-week low and all-time low there at 30 cents. So this is another high risk, high reward. Not 100% sold on this business. I don't think their moat is very great, right? Like there's tons of people, like we know Hexo and Redican have that pre-roll tech. If they were to ever to get into hemp CBD, cigarettes or mimicking cigarettes, TAT would be in big trouble. But could be a buyout target. SPY gunning here into the end of the day. Just checking in on the POW Group community, see if there's any news developments that transpired. Not seeing anything major here at the moment. In crypto, trying to break to 15-minute higher highs. SPY with 13 minutes left in the day, setting a new high of the day. And it's all about 418.31. So as I've been saying for the last several weeks and couple of months, I said I did expect us to deviate from this .com fractal. Remember, not all cycles play out verbatim, and yes, it's very similar, and it has been, this has been great for those that have been following along, and it's been great to us because it's the closest thing we have for the everything bubble is the .com bubble, and we took that fractal from when price RSI peaked in 96, and then it price peaked 4 years later in 2000, then went to monthly oversold. Same thing's occurring here where the RSI peaked in 2018, and then 4 years later in 2022, the price peaked, and then we're potentially heading to monthly oversold. But the difference is, back here, we didn't have the Fed and the Federal Reserve printing trillions and trillions of dollars. And then the Fed banned themselves back here at all-time highs from owning stocks, and now we're looking for the Pelosi bill, right? We're looking for Congress to being banned from stocks. And again, as we know, we can't have fair and orderly markets, right? We have to have manipulated markets, and that's what Congress would like to do. They would like to sell high, not sell low, right? It goes back to that old adage: sell high, buy low, sell high. And if they sold high, without any catalyst or without any backing, then they would look like the bad guys, right? And the bad gals. So if they're forced to sell, just like the Fed, well, then they look like heroes, right? We didn't sell because we had to, or because we wanted to. We sold because we had to, right? So that's why I expected us to deviate from this fractal, because of the fact that the market's so manipulated and that Congress still hasn't been banned yet. So watch for Congress being banned from owning stocks to mark the potential top. And if we do start monthly consolidation at some point here in the next month or two, watch for an inverse head and shoulders, like I said, with a right shoulder to potentially form. And if that does confirm, it's saying that we could go to 480 and set a new all-time high. I don't expect us to see much more of an all-time high, maybe something similar to what Bitcoin did, where we set an all-time high, we consolidated, we came back, and then we just barely broke the highs, and we saw, maybe 5-10% of upside from the all-time highs, and then we roll over. I think something's going to happen similar to that. So what I would, put my money on is that SPY gets very close, if not sets a new all-time high, just barely, and then Congress gets banned from owning stocks, and that'll more than likely be into March, where we get the next FOMC rate decision. And I think that they could potentially pause, and then we see in May and into June, we see sell in May and go away, and then the back half of 2023 could get very, very ugly. Like I said, a massive bloodbath potentially, and then even spill into the first half of 2024, maybe even longer. But ultimately, I am expecting a deviation from this, and then I expect us to continue to follow it into the spring, and then we could get, like I say, we could get pretty ugly. And then ultimately it's saying based on the .com fractal, we could get as low as the 230s, right, on SPY. But again, you can't be surprised by that, right? When we go from 209 to 472, right? When we get 125% worth of gains on the S&P 500 in 2 years, right? You can't be surprised by, you know, a 30 to even 50% drawdown, right? 125% on the S&P 500 in 2 years when we're accustomed to 12% a year, right? So that's 10 years worth of gains in 2 years. You need to expect a massive move to the downside. And we could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bear cross on these EMAs. Look what happened to Bitcoin when its EMA 12 and 26 bear cross occurred, right? It dropped even further. Let's see what happened the last time SPY had a monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross. So it crossed there, price went from 90, and then it dropped another 44%. So if we see something similar this time around, and it's been way longer, right, since 2008 financial crisis. So if we see that cross, and then we drop another, let's say it crossed in the next few months. So let's say it crossed around 360, 370, and we dropped another 40%. That'll put us down in the low 200s, right? Like 220s. So don't rule it completely out of the question. And that would put us around monthly oversold, which again would line up with the .com fractal, right? But ultimately, I do think we are heading to monthly oversold, and that would probably put us into the beginning part of 2024. February 2024, it's saying. But again, not to spread doom and gloom. I think there's going to be one more massive rally. Well, there's already been a massive rally, but I do think that we're going to continue to see more upside here. And the S&P 500 nowhere near weekly overbought in terms of the RSI, and looks like we could still see a bit more upside from here. But again, just expect temporary pullback in the weekly time frame. That'll just be healthy. Look for another weekly higher low to form. But don't be surprised if, from current levels, if the S&P 500 pulls back, 5 to 10%, that'd just be healthy as we scout a weekly higher low. But we'll continue to monitor the charts day in, day out. The more days and time that goes by, the more data that we get. And it's not about predicting the future. It's not about having a crystal ball, setting a new high of the day today. So we could be gunning for a gap up here into tomorrow and a test of 418.31. Still got 7 minutes, so we could even get there today, but it's looking really good. All right, going to end it there. See everybody in the chat room in a few minutes. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you again real soon.